So, welcome. I'm Mia, and my presentation is Growth in the Talcott Greenhouse, in which I've done a study of phenology and its potential role in greenhouse student engagement. I'll begin with one of the first uses of the term phenology in print, which is in Nature, a weekly illustrated journal of science in 1884. At this time in history, and for the past 150 years approximately, phenology has been a hobby of nature observation in your natural surroundings. 130 years later, the Oxford English Dictionary defines phenology as such: the field of science concerned with cyclic and seasonal natural phenomena, especially in relation to climate and plant and animal life. Phenology today is officially a science. Basically, phenology is observation of changes in natural life concurrently with changes in season. It was connected to environmentalism in 1949 with Aldo Leopold's publication, the Sand County Almanac. It serves as a detailed literary collection of the changes in his land over 1 year, and also discusses his views on conservation and ethical land use. For Aldo Leopold, phenology serves as a connection between human consciousness and the natural community. Today, phenology is developed into a tool to measure how climate change impact plants. For example, measuring plant flowering dates and patterns allows us to see how changes in climate affect these plant patterns. What my work in the greenhouse this semester is collecting a weekly census of the plants in flower. While this data cannot be contributed to climate change analysis because the greenhouse is a very controlled environment, it can be used for other things. Here's an example. What you're looking at is the orchid flowering records in the Talcott greenhouse. A plot of the number of orchid species in flower each week from September of 2011 to today. This is the peak flowering of orchids in 2012. This is the peak in 2013, and this is the peak right now. This shows us that more orchids are flowering each year, especially at the end of winter and start of spring. I don't collect the flowering data for the orchids. That's done by my greenhouse advisor, Jimmy. But his data clearly shows us that over the last 2 years, the orchid health has improved greatly, from a peak of 69 plants flowering at once, or 65 in 2012, to 114 currently in flower right now, and spring just began a couple of weeks ago. My observations for the rest of the greenhouse collection can be used to track plant health as well. So phenology, which I've been studying, is useful on a small scale level, not just in climate change analysis. Now I'm going to jump to a different topic, which is something that I've become interested in while working with Jimmy in the greenhouse. I've been seeing how the greenhouse operates every day and every week, and I realized that there's a lack of student engagement in the greenhouse. I think that there are a variety of issues, one of which is the lack of visibility. Many students visit the greenhouse to get their first year plant. I've had 4 first-year plants because they always die. And they also visit for the spring flower show, which recently ended. But other than that, there isn't much interest in the greenhouse or in what horticulture really is. And I think that the greenhouse needs to do more outreach to get students more involved. I also think that there's not enough class utilization. Mostly the biology department and the environmental science classes are the ones that visit. But I think that other departments could use the greenhouse resources as well. Also, student workers are working there, getting their hands dirty, which is really cool, but I think that they could be learning a whole lot of different aspects in the greenhouse. For example, their work could be combined with my phenological research. And then I think, not just for the student workers, but for the entire student body, the learning potential from the greenhouse is not entirely met. We can study climate, environment, horticulture, art, a lot of different subjects, but students just don't know that yet. So my proposal for a solution is a more reciprocal relationship between students and the greenhouse. For the greenhouse, students can provide research for what our collection needs. They can organize our collection database, and they can use technology for outreach across campus and in the community. They can provide labor, which our student workers currently do. They can provide environmental initiatives, and they can serve as tour guides or information providers for the people that come to visit the greenhouse. While they're doing this, the greenhouse can provide for students a horticultural learning experience, tools for experimentation with plants or climate or environments. It can serve as an internship opportunity for students in the Miller-Worley Center for the Environment, for example, through the new LINK program. And perhaps it could even serve as a horticultural concentration for environmental studies, the environmental studies major. These are some ideas I've had for possible student internships. We could have an outreach intern that would establish a strong relationship between local greenhouses such as at Smith or UMass, so we can trade different plant species to increase our collection. The outreach intern could also manage our internet and campus presence to further students' knowledge of what happens at the greenhouse. We can also have a photography intern, perhaps from the art department, that takes photos of plants that are flowering or the trees in our tropical room to display in the lobby and sell to guests to raise money for other greenhouse projects. We could have a record management intern that manages the collection database and collects the data that I've been collecting once I graduate, and maybe determine with the greenhouse staff what our collection might need in terms of research or what regions of the world we could get more species from. We could have an environmental intern that creates environmental projects within the greenhouse, like we could bring back composting, and we could see how the pond in the orchid room might be improved. And we could have a tour guide intern that learns to give tours and creates pamphlets or maps within the greenhouse to provide information for people when a tour guide isn't there. Because as it is right now, I can walk around the greenhouse and it's beautiful, and I can tell that the rooms have different purposes, but I don't quite know what they're for. But I think an even better idea might be an actual internship program at the greenhouse, so that students can begin in the summer through a LINK-funded internship and learn horticulture holistically, and learn greenhouse operations. And so that way training will occur over the summer when there's a lot of time, with Jimmy serving as an advisor and Russ, the greenhouse director, serving as an advisor. Then when it gets back to the school year, they can continue what they've learned already trained on a lower time commitment as a work-study job. Or they could develop a research project over the summer while they're learning all of this, and continue that research project during the school year as an independent study or a thesis. And maybe even a greenhouse course. And I know that these ideas are very difficult to put into effect. You can't just walk in and say, "Hi, greenhouse, I would like an internship program, please." But I hope that my project and my work over this year will help open the door for future students with horticultural interests to get involved at the greenhouse, because I don't think that students really realize how easy it is to get involved and how wonderful of a place it is to get involved with. All it took for me was a passion for plants, which I know I share with many of you and many other students, and I want everyone to be able to explore this. I would also like to extend thanks to my academic advisors, Laurette Savoy and Tim Farnham, for helping me, and my greenhouse advisor, Jimmy Grogan, who is way back there. Hi, Jimmy. For helping me with all of the work that I've done for this project, and thank you all for coming.